All right. There are my adults. You can count them. Lots of adults. All right. Mav, will you look at the frame on that and make sure it looks good? Yeah. My name is Kyle Simmons, and I'm going to be telling you why humans are drawn to heroes. When I say the word hero, most of us probably picture someone like this. Superman. Maybe you picture Spider-Man, Luke Skywalker, Wonder Woman, or another larger-than-life character. For thousands of years, people have told stories about heroes. Some fight dragons, some saved kingdoms, some wore capes, some carried shields. Today, we still tell hero stories through movies, books, TV, and comic books. But why? Because humans are drawn to heroes. Today, I'd like to explore why I think that is. I believe humans are drawn to heroes because they give us hope. Hope that difficult times will pass. Hope that courage is possible. And most importantly, hope for who we might become. To explore this idea, we'll look at one man's work on hero stories, how heroes have provided hope throughout history, and why the heroes who impact us the most are often ordinary people closest to us. This is Joseph Campbell. Campbell was a writer, professor, and mythologist who spent most of his life studying heroes from cultures around the world. Several years ago, I picked up a book by Campbell called The Power of the Myth, and I was immediately hooked. What drew me in wasn't just his study of heroes and myths. It was the way he connected them across cultures and time. Campbell noticed that people who lived thousands of miles apart, spoke different languages, and never knew one another often told remarkably similar stories. They all seemed to have heroes. They all seemed to have challenges. They all seemed to have some version of a dragon. In his most famous work, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, Campbell argued that many hero stories follow a similar pattern. An ordinary person leaves what's familiar, faces challenges and setbacks, and is transformed by their experience and returns home changed. What I loved about the idea is how connected it made me feel to humanity, not only to people living on the other side of the world, but to people who lived centuries before me. One of my favorite parts of Campbell's work is the dragon metaphor. Sometimes the dragon is real. Sometimes it's something else entirely. Fear, grief, loss, uncertainty. Whatever form the dragon takes, the story remains the same. The hero finds the courage to face it. Campbell showed that hero stories appeared everywhere. But that left me with another question. Why do those stories resonate so deeply with us? And I think that the answer is hope. These are some of the most recognizable heroes in American history. Superman first appeared in 1938 near the end of the Great Depression. Captain America appeared a few years later as the world moved towards World War II. If you look closely at this cover, Captain America is punching Adolf Hitler in the face. Today, that might seem a little over the top. But at the time, Hitler was the biggest villain. These characters didn't just give people an escape from reality. They gave people a vision of courage. They saw someone willing to stand up to evil and thought maybe they could do the same. I find it interesting that these heroes debuted in uncertain times. People were struggling financially, families were worried about the future, war dominated the headlines, and yet these hero stories became incredibly popular. Why? I don't think it's because people were looking to be entertained. I think they were looking for hope. Hope that good could overcome evil, hope that courage still existed, and hope that difficult times would pass. In many ways, heroes remind us that even when circumstances are dark, there is still a reason to believe that things can be better. For Christians, the story of Christ offers a similar kind of hope. In the middle of fear, suffering, and uncertainty, people found a story centered on love, sacrifice, and redemption. While the details differ from comic books and mythology, the message is similar. It's hope. Heroes help us believe that difficult seasons can be survived. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that there's another kind of hope heroes can provide. Not hope that difficult times will pass, hope for who we might become. This is my grandpa. When I was younger, I thought heroes looked like Superman. The older I get, the more I think they look like him. My grandpa never fought a dragon, he never saved a city, and to my knowledge, he never wore a cape. But in a world that often felt uncertain, he was unchanging. He always made time for me, and he listened. He taught me through my problems, and he came from a much simpler time, but somehow understood that the world that I was living in was much bigger and heavier. Whenever life felt confusing, he was a calming voice, a constant presence, and a foundation. One of the things I admired the most about him was that he always tried to do what was right, simply because it was right. He was also honest about his imperfections. He never pretended to have all the answers. Looking back, I realized that what made him heroic wasn't extraordinary strength or supernatural talent. It was his character. He gave me hope for who I might become. The longer I live, the more I realize the heroes who shape our lives are most often the ones closest to us. Parents, grandparents, teachers, coaches, friends, the constants. The people who help us carry our burdens, the people who quietly model the kind of person we hope to become. The greatest heroes in our lives rarely wear armor, and the dragons we face rarely have scales. Sometimes they look like cancer. Sometimes they look like grief. Sometimes they look like addiction, loneliness, or simply finding the courage to get out of bed another day. Dragons are real. Heroes are real. And maybe that's why humans have been telling hero stories for thousands of years. They remind us that courage isn't reserved for mythical creatures. It's something ordinary people practice every day. Humans are drawn to heroes because heroes give us hope. Hope that difficult times will pass, hope that courage is possible, and most importantly, hope for who we might become. Thank you.